Hey everyone, First Order here, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. Now in this one, we're going to be discussing everything we learned from the Mandalorian panel. I'll be looking at each character, who they are, the main protagonist's ship, and breaking down the 2 clips of footage that was shown at Star Wars Celebration. The public did not get it, sadly, but on YouTube, people have recorded it and posted it, and I've watched it, and I'll be describing to you all what the footage is. Now let's get into the 3 main characters of the show. Firstly, we have the Mandalorian. He is the main protagonist of the show. He is a lone gunfighter, a bounty hunter, and he has questionable morals. However, as the show progresses, you will slowly gain sympathy and start to understand the Mandalorian. From leaks that I've read, the Mandalorian has to get a child. Has to kidnap a baby from someone and deliver it to somebody else, but at the end, the Mandalorian decides not to kidnap the baby, so it's gonna be sort of like that. He'll probably accept the deal first, but then afterwards realized that it's a mistake. Then we get Cara Dune. She's an ex-rebel shock trooper. I don't know shock troopers for the rebellion, so she may have been saying and might have meant Imperial shock trooper, because in the teaser trailer shown at Celebration, there is an Imperial shock trooper with a flamethrower. So I don't know if she just misspoke, but if she didn't, then she's a rebel shock trooper. She's going to be one of the main characters that shows the moral argument of the Mandalorian, which I'll get into in a second. But third character, Greef Karga, I think that's his name. He's looking for someone to go after a product that's valuable. This is what I think the leak is true, that Karga will be looking for the Mandalorian to kidnap a child and bring it back to him. Now let's get into other things that was confirmed during the panel. The Mandalorian's main ship will be called the Razor Crest. It's an old gunship that is actually old concept art from the Clone Wars, actually. So that's interesting. I love when Star Wars reuses things over and over again from old concepts. And the most interesting thing about this ship is that they actually made a model of it. They shot this ship and scenes with the ship, like classic Star Wars original trilogy stuff. So they made a model of the ship, go into an all-black room, record the ship flying past the camera or the camera going past the ship, so it makes it look like the ship is flying. This was a technique done all throughout the original trilogy, specifically Luke's X-Wing. That's what makes it look so real while watching the original trilogy, while compared to Revenge of the Sith and the intro with the 2 Jedi Interceptors, it's completely digital. So that is very interesting to know. I believe it's the first time they're doing it since the original trilogy, actually. I don't think they did it in the sequels. I think the sequels are all CGI as well. But for the Mandalorian, this is really exciting for original trilogy fans. Another interesting little fact about the show, they were going to shoot a scene with a large amount of stormtroopers and they didn't have enough uniforms, so they actually called the 501st group into the show and asked them to be extras in the show. So anyway, now that we got all the general basics out of the way, let's dive into the behind the scenes footage first. So the behind the scenes footage doesn't really show a lot. It's like some of those footages that we got from like a behind the scenes reel for The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. It doesn't really show much of anything, actually. We just get some scenes without context. For example, we get the Mandalorian searching for something with a beacon on an ice world and walking into a cantina, but again, no context. We have no idea what this means. But there is a lot of concept art shown. For example, scout troopers on speeder bikes, orbital space station above a planet that kind of looks like a hangar that can fly into, do a little pit stop, I guess space gas station, I don't know. The Mandalorian with different types of species, specifically species from episode 4, the cantina, like that devil with the horns, that's shown. Tatooine is definitely going to be a major part of this show. Concept art of Tatooine is shown all the time. That one animal where a stormtrooper rides it in episode 4, that's shown. Jawas, a Jawa cruiser, cantinas, just overall the atmosphere of Tatooine is shown all throughout this behind the scenes footage. Jon Favreau, the writer, goes into that this show will have new planets and new species, which is always nice to see in Star Wars. There's concept art of the Mandalorian with a jetpack similar to Boba Fett. There's concept art of a new TIE pilot. George Lucas was on the set, and yeah. So now let's get into the teaser trailer, basically the main part of this panel. I'm actually surprised they didn't release the teaser trailer, considering nowadays, like, I'm watching it right now on my phone to tell you guys about it, and I think that's kind of BS. I don't have to watch a phone recording of a screen. Like, in today's modern world, you can't just have secret stuff at Celebration. It's going to get out there no matter what, so let's just dive into it. I want to go over the dialogue first, and how the dialogue basically talks about the main moral argument of the show. Basically, I won't go into, like, specific dialogue, what he's saying, but I'll give you the gist of it. What this character is talking about, it's the same character talking throughout the entire trailer. He is talking, I think, to the Mandalorian, I believe. Yeah, it looks like he's talking to the Mandalorian, but basically he's going over how the Empire falling was a bad thing for the galaxy. You know, when the Empire fell, when Emperor Palpatine died, the Rebellion didn't have any organization or any, like, political power to rule over the galaxy like the Republic did. Literally, the Republic was a chancellor, and then the Senate was a representative from every single planet in the galaxy that considered themselves a part of the Republic. And the Rebellion had nothing like that. So crime went rampant all throughout the galaxy, specifically in the Outer Rim, because that's where the Rebellion didn't have any footing for order. So the underworld took over, basically, for the Outer Rim, and that's where chaos is all over the place. That's why the Empire goes to the Outer Rim, because that's where the galaxy is most in chaos currently. And in the novels, they go into how, due to the lack of political power that the Rebellion has, each planet is kind of ruling over themselves until there's a galactic thing going on. Like, let's take Tatooine, for example. That's a crime planet. If Jabba was alive, he'd probably be ruling over that planet currently. A blessing and a curse. You destroy this Iron Fist ruling power, but at the same time, you leave a power gap. And there's nothing there in the galaxy that can control the galaxy like the Republic or the Empire did. Until the New Republic forms, which is going to take like 10 years. So yeah, The Mandalorian takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and there's still a power gap. Like, it's that bad. Sometimes directors and writers use characters to tell the theme of the film. For example, Yoda in The Last Jedi. He's used to tell the audience the theme of the film. Failure, the greatest teacher is. Every character in The Last Jedi fails in some way. So, this character is now describing the theme of this show, which will be that moral argument of whether or not the Empire was actually a good thing in retrospect. And that now that it's gone, there's nothing. There's a power gap, and the criminals are going to take it over, in the Outer Rim at least, which I find interesting. Anyway, now let's get into the footage shown. So one of the main planets are going to be Tatooine. We know that's from the concept art and the footage shown within the teaser trailer. And it looks like the Mandalorian and Cara Dune will be adversaries at first, because there's a short scene of them fighting each other. The Mandalorian's like, who's that? And then it cuts to about 5 seconds of them fighting in the town, which is probably Mos Eisley. Then we get our first shot at the antagonist. This character is going to be similar to Director Krennic. There are 2 Death Troopers standing behind him, and he talks about burning it. He's looking at a house. First time ever in live action, an Imperial Shock Trooper comes up and burns a house down. I describe him as a Director Krennic type character because he's in the field. He's wearing armor. He's probably gonna have a blaster. There's a shot of him flying a TIE fighter. So compare Krennic to Tarkin. Krennic was definitely more hands-on, while Tarkin was the man controlling it all from behind the scenes, while Krennic was actually in the dirt. Like, there's deleted scenes from Rogue One in the first cut where Director Krennic is on Scarif shooting with his Death Troopers, so this guy is definitely going to be a hands-on type general. And since the Empire's gone, he may be the leader of this Imperial regiment. He may be the main guy, because the Empire is kind of split into multiple factions now. We have this guy who's probably going to be ruling over the Outer Rim, but at the same time, there's other people ruling from Jakku. So we may get some Jakku references or some other admirals ruling over their Imperial regiment over the span of the show. We get the Mandalorian walking into a Tatooine-esque cantina with a classic R5-D4 droid rolling by, and here we get the Mandalorian with some sort of bounty hunter squad. Not all the bounty hunters are shown in this one shot, but IG-88 and 4-LOM are shown throughout the trailer, shooting at stormtroopers. So it's safe to say that the Mandalorian will be fighting the Empire along with 4-LOM, IG-88, and a Twi'lek bounty hunter. There's a shot of an Imperial officer wielding 3 blasters. He's dual wielding with 2 hands, but then he has a 3rd blaster like on his shoulder that's kind of pointed upwards. I haven't seen that before. It's definitely weird for Star Wars, but hey, whatever. We get a shot of the Mandalorian's droid. This droid looks extremely like 4-LOM. He's really buggish in his eyes and his just type, so that's interesting. We get this animal. I'll throw up an image. I don't know what it's called. And they're in a desert, so it's 100% Tatooine. We get a nice slick shot of a classic Western gunfight where someone reaches for their blaster, and it looks like the Mandalorian is positioned across from them. 4-LOM in the trailer, the devil character from episode 4 that I talked about earlier. And then Cara Dune looks like she's wielding a heavy blaster, some sort of turret shooting at stormtroopers through a window. IG-8 doing an amazing spin. IG-88 has been one of my favorite bounty hunters ever since I was a kid, so I'm extremely excited to see him. And IG-88 is being voiced by Taika Waititi. For those who like Marvel movies, he was the guy who directed Thor Ragnarok and voiced Korg. So IG-88 is doing some spinning move with his body, shooting at stormtroopers. the Mandalorian shooting at stormtroopers, doing an amazing melee move, like shocking one. The main antagonist of the show, I forget the actor's name, but he's a guy from Breaking Bad. I'll throw up an image of what he looks like in his TIE fighter, shooting down on Tatooine. And one of the final shots, the Mandalorian gets him wield some melee weapon and breaks the stormtrooper's helmet, the mouthpiece. So this guy's a badass. And then we get a nice, beautiful shot of the Mandalorian using his rifle and looking down the scope. So yeah, that was the teaser trailer. I'm really annoyed that it's not shown to the public, but hey, it's fine, it's whatever. I'm here to describe the footage to you all because the footage is probably already gone from YouTube, so yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like, blast like, and all that good stuff. And if you are new, why don't you subscribe for all things Star Wars? I will probably be posting a Clone Wars video later today. Since we didn't get an official Mandalorian trailer, I bet we'll get a Clone Wars trailer now. So, I bet we'll get a Clone Wars trailer later today. So, if you're new, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for future Star Wars content. Anyway, this is the First Order, signing out.
Trust only in the Force.